The second myth is that fish is absolutely necessary for omega-3 fatty acids. The omega-3 fatty acids in fish are two things, eicosapentaenoic acid, or EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, or DHA, and they are actually very important for health. They are what we call the biologically active omega-3s. These fats actually can be manufactured in the body by something we call ALA, or alpha-linolenic acid, and these are the plant omega-3s. However, this conversion can be very, very slow in many people, depending on numerous factors, okay, including your age, your gender, your diet. All sorts of things in your diet can affect conversion. Okay, so conversion tends to be much quicker in young women than in men. Why? Because we need more, because we could possibly get pregnant and bear children, and we need to feed those children, and they need to get some DHA needed in. So that's fairly simple. You know, both ALA and EPA and DHA have cardioprotective effects. EPA and DHA are, however, more potent in their cardioprotective effects. The benefits of fish consumption, however, if you look at the research, tend to be greatest in high-risk populations. Okay, so if they're at higher risk for cardiovascular disease, tend to have high cholesterol levels and so forth, then fish tends to provide protection. However, the protection tends to be offset if the fish is contaminated with heavy metals. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. Adding fish to a very healthy plant-based diet doesn't seem to increase our protection against cardiovascular disease. So now this is the shocking part for a lot of people. Fish do not make EPA and DHA. Okay, and a lot of people don't know this. So where does it come from? Well, it actually comes from tiny plants in the ocean, or sea. And those tiny plants are called microalgae. And so fish get it at some point along the food chain. The tiny little fish eat the microalgae, the bigger fish eat the tiny little fish, etc., etc. Right? So we can actually also, as human beings, go to the original source, microalgae. And it is now being cultured and is available from umpteen companies. It used to be just one company, but now there are numerous companies selling it. And unlike fish, it is actually a clean, entirely renewable resource. So why, a lot of people say, well, why would anybody even want to forego fish? You know, most health organizations advocate 2 servings of fish a week. Fish consumption has been shown to be cardioprotective, so why would anyone want to even consider eliminating fish? Well, first of all, fish are the #1 source of heavy metals in the human diet. They are leading sources of antibiotics, antiseptics, and environmental contaminants like PCBs, DDT, and dioxin. And this one, have you ever heard of malachite green? Malachite green is used to disinfect the fish that are grown on fish farms, and they get all these diseases and parasites and everything else. This stuff is a carcinogen. So it's just interesting to know. Of course, there are ecological concerns with fish consumption as well, because we're raping the oceans with the way that we commercially fish. There are some significant problems with big nets, and we've wiped out 90% of large predatory fish. 70% of fish stocks are threatened or endangered. There are significant problems there. And then, of course, there are the ethical concerns, like the bycatches. If you look at how, for example, shrimp is harvested, you basically have this humongous net. They're bottom feeders, so it's dragged along the bottom of the ocean, right? And everything is picked up from, you know, dolphins, turtles, you name it, it's all picked up. And guess what? They pick the shrimps out, and 80% of the weight that they catch is called bycatch. And guess what happens to the bycatch? It is thrown dead to the bottom of the ocean. It's garbage to them. So practical pointers here. You need to take steps to help improve your omega-3 fatty acid status. Whether you're an omnivore, vegetarian, vegan, it doesn't matter. But these steps are specific to people who are avoiding fish. Okay, so how, if you're vegan, do you actually maximize your omega-3 status? Because what we know about vegans is we tend to have low levels of DHA and EPA. Okay, so how do you improve that? Well, #1, you want to get most of your fat from whole plant foods. Okay, to protect the fat. You want to make most of your fat mono if you eat anything over 15% of calories from fat. Okay, so most of it should be mono. And this just puts a lid on omega-6s. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. But monounsaturated fats come mainly from nuts, olives, and avocados. Those are our primary sources. There are a couple of nuts that aren't mono, primarily walnuts and butternuts, but other nuts are mono. And if you're using concentrated fats and oils in cooking, they should be primarily mono as well. So here you're looking at olive, canola, almond, hazelnut, high oleic, which means high mono sunflower or safflower oil. You want to increase your intake of omega-3s. And what do you want? You want about 2 to 5 grams a day. So where do you get this stuff? Well, flax seeds and flaxseed oil, hemp seeds and hemp seed oil, walnuts, chia seeds, canola, and leafy. Do you know that in leafy greens, the fats are about half omega-3? A lot of people don't know that. The only thing is they don't have much fat. So you want to get 3 grams of fat from greens, you need to eat about 30 cups. Okay? You can also consider including a direct source of DHA and EPA. Now, if you're a baby, well, this is it. You know, breastfeeding, obviously. But direct sources may be beneficial for those who have increased needs. And pregnant and lactating women have increased needs, although they convert very well. So people that have disorders that are related to suboptimal omega-3 status, whether it's seasonal affective disorder or some sort of cardiovascular disease or diabetes, they actually may require some. People with diabetes and hypertension don't convert as well either from ALA to EPA and DHA. And people who have traditionally very high fish intakes, there's an enzyme you're required to convert alpha-linolenic acid to the next step called which is stearidonic acid. And if you eat a lot of fish, you just don't produce as much of this enzyme, which is called delta-6 desaturase. And so for those people, they may actually need a direct source, much more so than the average person. So are there options for people that don't want to eat fish, don't want to consume fish oil? Well, you can consume microalgae in supplements or in fortified foods. It's actually being added to foods.